Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Muhammad Ali moments.
I predict that tonight somebody will die at ringside from shock.
We'll be looking at highlights from the life and times of the man formerly known as Cassius Clay, but forever known as the original People's Champion, the Louisville Lip, and the greatest.
The stage is set for me to be ranked as the greatest of all time.
The late, great Muhammad Ali.
Hold it. First things first.
Number 10. Ali takes on Saddam. By the end of his career, Muhammad Ali had faced and beaten the top heavyweights of his era, but none of those fights could prepare him for a challenger like Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein. Following Iraq's invasion of Kuwait and weeks away from full-on war with the United States, Hussein took 15 American citizens hostage. The men, many of whom were employees of a General Motors facility in Iraq, were being held in strategically important buildings as a safeguard from American bombing. Against all recommendations, including that of President George H.W. Bush, Ali went to Iraq to personally negotiate their release. Despite the odds, and the champ having run out of Parkinson's medication days prior, Hussein surrendered all 15 men to Ali, and 3 days later, all were safely back in the United States.
Thank God. God works through people. It's not me.
Number 9. The first 3-time world heavyweight champ. Ali's first championship title win was impressive enough, demolishing 8-to-1 odds on favorite Sonny Liston in 1964. By his retirement, Ali would be crowned heavyweight champ a record-setting 3 times.
I saw Sonny Liston a few days ago, Cassius.
Ain't he ugly? He's too ugly to be the world's champ. The world's champ should be pretty like me.
After defeating Liston and claiming himself to be the greatest, as well as the prettiest thing that ever lived, Ali was robbed of his title when he refused to serve in the Vietnam War. After returning to boxing in 1971, Ali worked his way back up the card, finally securing a title shot against and beating then-champ George Foreman in 1974. Ali held the title until February 1978, when he lost to Leon Spinks, only to retake the title in a rematch the same year, becoming the first 3-time world heavyweight champion.
The fight is over.
Number 8. I am the greatest.
I always knew how hard he hit, and I always knew that he couldn't hit me. That's why I talk so bold.
If anyone wondered how Ali earned a nickname like the Louisville Lip, his 1963 spoken word album should clear up the mystery. Released while he was still known as Cassius Clay, I Am the Greatest arrived just 6 months prior to his name change, conversion to Islam, and first heavyweight championship.
This is the legend of Cassius Clay, the most beautiful fighter in the world today.
The label's first 8 cuts were labeled rounds rather than tracks, and saw the ever-confident Ali boast, brag, and even predict his title win in front of a live studio audience.
This brash young boxer is something to see, and the heavyweight championship is his destiny.
Co-written in part with comedy writer Gary Belkin, the album earned a Grammy nomination and hit number 61 on the charts, with Ali's flow now seen as proto-rap. The LP's title track, meanwhile, was spun off as a single, with the diss track of all diss tracks, Will the Real Sonny Liston Please Fall Down, as a B-side.
I'm going to fight Sonny Liston. That is, if he doesn't chicken out. I will win that fight because I'm president of the boxing world, and this fist is my veto. I am the greatest.
Number 7. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. The hands can't hit what the eyes can't see.
Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Ah! Rumble, young man, rumble. Hey!
More than just a memorable catchphrase, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee was a poetic yet apt way of summing up Ali's unusual boxing style. Rather than resemble anything remotely traditional, the early Ali style relied on speed and constant movement rather than brute force. Ali also had a tendency to duck back and make his opponent overextend or put themselves off balance. He was known as much for his fancy footwork as he was for his rapid-fire eye jabs.
Beautiful right-hand shot that you saw. That was the best punch thus far landed by the champion.
Post-exile, Ali took this approach even further with the rope-a-dope style. Rather than come in guns blazing, Ali would effectively become a punching bag until his opponent was completely worn out and ready to have his ass handed to him.
Oh, a great left hand, an over and under combination, left hand and then the right on the jaw, taken by the champion George Foreman.
Number 6. Becoming Muhammad Ali.
Here comes Mr. Castro, you look for Cuban. Here comes Mr. Lumumba, Mr. Kenyatta, you look for African, a black man. Now, what's your last name?
Starting around 1961, the man then known as Cassius Clay became increasingly interested in the Nation of Islam, otherwise known as the Black Muslim movement, eventually being mentored by famed member Malcolm X. But due to his boxing career, he was initially refused membership. This changed, however, leading up to his championship bout with Sonny Liston in 1964. Prior to the match, news of Clay's conversion leaked. The day after defeating Liston, he publicly renounced his slave name and re-emerged as Cassius X before taking the name Muhammad Ali the following week.
One of the interesting developments of this always interesting young man called Cassius Clay is that he has changed his name in keeping with his religious convictions, and he is now Muhammad Ali, I believe.
With his new identity, Ali became increasingly outspoken about race, civil, and religious issues, and frequently butted heads with the establishment of the day.
No nation, no people can be free without land. And we are a whole nation, 22 million people without a toothpick factory.
Number 5. The Thrilla in Manila.
Frazier will try to bore in and catch this man. Muhammad Ali opening up fast.
When Ali returned to boxing in 1971, he was entitled to a shot at reclaiming his championship. Pitted against Smokin' Joe Frazier in what was billed as the fight of the century, Ali entered the bout a relative equal, but left the match defeated. 4 years later, Ali was champion again, and it was now Frazier with his eyes on the prize. Dubbed the Thrilla in Manila, the Ali-Frazier matchup went 14 solid rounds in 120° Fahrenheit or 49° Celsius heat. Ali dominated early. Frazier led the mid-rounds, but by the 10th round, the tide had turned very much in Ali's favor, and Frazier gave up just before the 14th round. During the match, Ali lost 5 pounds due to extreme heat, a situation he called the closest he'd ever been to death.
Remember, the scoring is on a round basis. Frazier is tired, and his eyes are closing.
Number 4. Lighting the Olympic torch. The U.S. Olympic Committee managed to keep Ali's participation in the 1996 Atlanta Summer Games a secret. But the crowd made no secret of their admiration for the former champ. By 1996, Ali had been retired 15 years, and although he was still a relatively young 54, the effects of Parkinson's disease were starting to show. His body may have been working against him, his arms may have been shaking, but lighting the Olympic torch and basking in the crowd's love, Ali stood proud, with as much command and dignity as he ever had in his youth. Number 3. The Rumble in the Jungle.
Round 1, Ali bouncing around, shifting left for right. George moves slow, Ali gets the first punch in, a light right hand taken on the forehead by George Foreman, the champion.
After missing his shot in 1971 against Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali had fought his way up the rankings to square off with then heavyweight champ George Foreman in 1974. Known today as a cheery electric grill spokesman, the George Foreman of 1974 was a lean, mean punch-throwing machine. For the big money showdown in Zaire, Ali opted to use his now fine-tuned rope-a-dope technique, rather than try to match Foreman's power. Foreman wore himself out, pummeling Ali with body shots, while Ali sat back on the ropes and blocked.
Muhammad is allowing Foreman to come in on him, inviting him in and counter-punching, inviting him in.
In the 8th round, the greatest took things a bit more seriously, delivering a 5-punch combo that sent Foreman to the mat and Ali to victory.
And he works over the shoulder of Foreman.
Number 2. Refusing military service.
This will still be nothing if I am not content internally and if I'm not in accord with the will of Almighty Allah.
Ali was rejected for military service in 1964 based on a shockingly low IQ score. However, in 1966, standards had changed. The champ was now eligible and suddenly faced the very real threat of being drafted.
Couldn't see myself taking part in nothing where I would help and aid in any way to shooting and killing these Asiatic, dark, black people who haven't caught me, haven't lynched me, they haven't deprived me of freedom, justice, and equality, they haven't assassinated my leaders.
War, however, was against both his religious and social beliefs, as well as his personal conviction. So Ali refused to serve, calling himself a conscientious objector.
Now, draft is another thing that's against my religious beliefs.
Arrested and found guilty of evading the draft in 1967, Ali faced a $10,000 fine and 5 years in prison. He was also stripped of his titles, his license to box, and even his passport, leading Esquire magazine to represent him as a martyr. The former champion stayed out of prison thanks to an appeal that eventually reached the Supreme Court. He spent his exile years giving lectures and even acting on Broadway to pay the bills.
I'm just about what they call broke because I'm not allowed to work. I was stopped right in the middle of my profession. But I'm not complaining over what they have done, but I'm just saying that if I never fight again, I never see a ring, the people will know that, who the real champ is.
Before we unveil our #1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
Known for floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee, who later became known outside the ring as a global humanitarian.
Cassius Clay, the winner for the USA.
#1, the Sonny Liston rematch.
That fell for round 1. Here we go.
Muhammad Ali towering in victory over a crumpled Sonny Liston is among the most famous images in sports history. Happening just minutes into the match, it was just one of many things about the fight that was rife with controversy. Security issues, including the possibility of Liston being attacked by Nation of Islam members, or Ali being killed by Malcolm X supporters, led the match to be held in small-town Maine rather than Boston, Mass. Ringside, much of the half-capacity audience never saw the so-called phantom punch that took Liston down, largely because many of them hadn't yet made their way to their seats. Meanwhile, in the ring, even Ali himself wasn't sure the punch had connected when the fight ended amid confusion, with Ali failing to return to his corner, the referee neglecting to restart the count, and the bout continuing before Liston was declared KO'd. Do you agree with our list?
All of you all were wrong. You didn't know what you're talking about.
What was your favorite Muhammad Ali moment? For more knockout top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
I don't have to be what you want me to be. I'm free to be what I want to be and think what I want to think. Right.